Anthony Harwig here with a McDonald softball player profile, the first one of the season. I'm joined by junior Bree McCombs. Bree, how are we doing today? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, so before I talk to you about this season, I want to rewind the clock back a little bit to last year because the talk before the season last year, this McDonald program, was obviously what's life gonna be like without Bree Callow in the circle, right? There were a lot of conversations about what's the pitching gonna look like for McDonald. And you stepped into that pitcher's circle and you took that spot and you took that mantle as the one pitcher for McDonald and you ran with it and pitched them to a very deep tournament run, and you had a lot of success last season. So my question after all that, after hearing all that, when you went into last season, what were some of the things that you experienced mentally and confidence wise going in knowing that you were coming after a really good pitcher before you?
Well, obviously, those are big shoes to fill. Bree was an amazing pitcher and an amazing athlete. So, going into last season, it was more just so trying to see how far we could push ourselves and see how far we could go just as a team as a whole. Because obviously, last year was supposed to be a rebuilding season for us. But I think we surprised a lot of people going as far as we did and just proving that we are still a strong program with everybody that we had.
So last year, your mindset in the circle, was it more pressure or was it not pressure? Because you didn't have a lot of outside expectations saying that like McDonald was going to be a superstar team in the circle. What was it like to kind of mentally go through that kind of thing last year?
I mean, there was a little bit of pressure just going into it. Obviously, every game has a certain amount of pressure, but I think that for me, it was just kind of playing loose and not playing under like having to fill amount like this big part of like shoes or whatever. So just trying to like I don't know, like mentally just like being strong and just playing loose and being there for my team.
You went to an ace mentality. I mean, you were the number one pitcher last year. You were the one they relied on. What was that like being an ace and being able to be the one that, you're going to get all the innings? It's going to be on you most of the time, especially in big games on the schedule.
I mean, obviously it's a lot of pressure, but it's obviously a lot of praise as well because being put as the ace, obviously your coach trusts you. My coach Michelle trusted me enough to have me pitch in those big games, so I was very thankful for that opportunity to be the ace last year.
And now we fast forward to this season, and man, Isabella O'Brien steps on the scene, and now you have two pitchers that are both ace quality, and you don't have to pitch every inning anymore. You're splitting it pretty evenly with Bella. What's that been like to have another girl in the circle to take pressure off of you this year so far?
It's been amazing to have Bella. She's an amazing pitcher and an amazing athlete. So having somebody else to carry the load is just nice to have. Not having to feel like you have all the pressure to pitch every single game. So it was really nice to have Bella this year.
How have you kept that ace mentality that you built last year when it was a lot on your shoulders into this year, even though the innings wise it's not on your shoulders? When you go out to pitch, how do you keep that ace mentality that you had last year?
Obviously, a lot of it helps. Travel helps build that mentality of being strong and being the ace, but also just going back to like the foundation that I have from my pitching lessons. So just keeping mentally strong there. Aaron puts me in a lot of circumstances where I have to be mentally strong with the drills that I do. So just keeping that mentality from practice to games.
I've had the chance to talk with a lot of people that have coached you in travel, and they can't speak highly enough about the development that you've shown over the last 3 or 4 years in your pitching and the work that you put into that. When you kind of look at that and you reflect on all the developments you have been able to make in your pitching, what makes you the most proud that you've been able to do all that?
I think what makes me the most proud is probably just how much I've grown as an athlete and how much I've grown as a pitcher. I gained approximately 8 miles an hour from my freshman year to my sophomore year, which was a big jump for me. So just probably mostly.
What was the big key to doing that? To being able to, like you said, add 8 miles an hour to your pitches between freshman and sophomore year?
I started pitching twice a week and just the amount of reps that I put in and just kept working on it. I worked on it outside of lessons and just doing it a bunch helped build my stamina and helped build my velocity. So I think just the work outside.
To do that, to get those reps, to put that time in, something had to click to say, okay, I really want to start taking this seriously. I really want to start putting my time and effort into softball. What made that decision for you? What was it that said in your mind and in your heart, okay, I have to start really dedicating myself to this sport?
Well, I've always wanted to play college softball, so I think just I've always wanted to play at the highest level that I can. So just working hard to try and get my velocity up to where other pitchers' velocity is to be able to play at that high level. So just probably trying to work as hard as I can to get my velocity higher to play at the highest level that I can.
You talk about playing at the next level, you're a junior, which means this is that big year where you start to look around and coaches start to look at you a little bit more seriously. What's it been like this junior season, knowing that this is kind of like that year where you really get to show off yourself a little bit and really get to open the eyes of coaches at the next level?
It's an exciting time. It's a little bit stressful, obviously, but it's really exciting to be able to start talking to coaches and just talking to the college like athletes that are at the schools that I want to go to. So just talking to them is nice to hear the things that they have been looking at me for. So just that experience in itself is really nice.
You've been thinking about that for a long time, so I'm sure you've been also thinking about what you want out of a college and what you want out of a program. What kind of things come to mind when you're looking at who you want to play for? What kind of things do you look for in that?
Well, I obviously look for like what if they have my program that I want to go into and like the type of campus that I want to go to. I want to stay closer to my family because obviously I'm very family oriented. So just close enough to my family and just having the like surroundings that I would want and like just the program that I would like.
You talked about the program and the major you want to go into. Have you already made that decision of what you want to study in college?
I have a general idea of what I want to do. I want to try and do something in the medical field, so either like physical therapy or something, or go to med school or something like that.
I mean, you talk about balancing that and being an athlete. That's going to take a lot of time management, but you've already developed that with being an athlete here in high school level. What kind of things have helped you develop your time management skills?
Well, I write down what I do every single day. I have a planner that I plan out my whole day, like from my first period English class to my last period government class. I have all my homework in there, and then I have softball scheduled out after that. If we have a game, what time practice goes to. If I have a lesson right after practice, writing it all down really just helps me keep it all organized.
Now, you are not the first athlete that we've interviewed that has used that kind of strategy to keep themselves organized. And the question I always ask when that's the answer is, have you always been that way? Have you always been that organized, or was there a moment in your high school or before that career where you said like, okay, I really got to organize myself if I want to succeed? Have you always been like that, or did you grow into that organization skills?
I kind of grew into those organization skills whenever COVID happened. My freshman year, we had cohorts. So, like 2 days we went to school and 3 days I didn't. And then it would switch each week. So, I needed to keep myself organized while I was at home because while I'm at home learning, I really didn't want to learn, but I obviously had to. So, I just tried to like write it all down and it actually helped me a lot. So, I've just been keeping that organization sense through my junior year.
All right, let's get to know you a little bit off the field. You talked about how family oriented you are. What is it about your family that you think makes it unique to others and you think is so special about the family that you do have?
Well, my dad, he catches me every single lesson. He puts in just as much work as I do, so I spend a lot of time with him. And my mom is always supporting me whenever I come home from school. She helps me with all of my schoolwork, and she just helps me every single time that I need something. And my brother Hunter, he goes to Kent, and obviously that's a little bit farther away from us. So he tries to come to every game, and he tries to get out of school and just come to support me through everything.
So many softball players we need for you. I love talking about the dad coaches and the relationships that you have with so many players have with their dads who have either coached them or at least caught them and helped them in their journey. What's that been like for you? Like you said, your dad's been catching you so much throughout your career. What's that like to have him by your side? He can help you in the stuff that you need help with. He can try to coach you when he can. What's that been like for you?
Well, my dad, I've been pitching since I was 8 years old. So he obviously knows like because he's been catching me since I was 8. He knows whenever something's going wrong. And it's nice to have like if I can't figure it out, I'll ask him, be like, what am I doing wrong? He'll tell me this, that, and this, and I can fix it immediately. So it's really nice to have somebody with another set of eyes helping me throughout my games.
Now, did he pick up softball when you got into it, or was he already into softball or baseball, whatever it may be, when you started it as an 8-year-old?
He was into it a little bit before. He helped coach a rec team, I think, in McDonald because he grew up in McDonald. So he helped coach a rec team whenever he was like 20. So he was kind of into it before I even started.
One of the big social media questions for softball right now, trending, is what's your softball ick? Everyone seems to have one nowadays. What's yours? What's the one thing that you see on a softball field that just gives you those heebie-jeebies or the goosebumps?
I think it's when people step on the line. It just
Ooh,
messes up the juju for the game. It just doesn't go well with me.
that's one of those tell me you're not a softball player without telling me you're not a softball player kind of situations. When you think about role models in the game of softball, who were some players that you looked up to when you were growing up that you wanted to be like?
Obviously, my pitching coach, Erin Gabriel, she's a big role model for me. She's a great person to come to with every question that I had, every question that I do have, even if they're not the best questions to ask. I'll text her my questions and she'll answer me immediately. She's a great role model. And then obviously some players that we've had through our program, like Lucy Wolford, she's a great leader. She was our shortstop. She was a phenomenal player and she was a great person to just have on the team. And then Brie Callow, obviously another great leader, great athlete. And then Megan Moore, obviously, she's a great person to have that came through our program. So she was a great role model to look up to and to aspire to be.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about Aaron a little bit because I mean, having a pitching coach like that, there's not one better in the area, not someone better that you can learn from than someone that has pitched in World Series, pitched in SEC championships, things like that. What kind of things have you learned from being able to be coached by Aaron over the last couple of years?
I think just being mentally tough. She always helps me strengthen my mental game. And she also fixed a bunch of the mechanical issues that I had before I came. So I love going to Erin so much. She's a great person. I love her. And she's just a great person to have in my corner. She's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
What does it mean to you? Like not just Aaron, but the other players you mentioned, Lucy and Bree and Megan, and all those players that have come through McDonald, and now Aaron as well, who obviously had a great career in this area of Poland. They're all giving back to softball in this area in any way they can, whether they're still playing in college and try to get back here, or like Aaron, as she's already graduated from college and now is coaching here. What's it mean to you as someone that's playing softball right now to see these kind of legends of the past in the area give back to softball in the area when they can?
I mean, it's great to see. It's great to see the game of softball grow. Like I've seen so many people just coming to lessons now, and it's great to see how many people want to get into the game, even if they have never been into it before. So seeing all these younger people and even kids my age want to start getting into the game because they're looking up to these people is just so nice to see. And I love watching the game grow because of the leaders that we have.
All right, if you could be at one softball venue, like one place to watch a game, what's your bucket list place to go?
Probably Oklahoma City, go watch the World Series, go watch all of those amazing teams play. That's probably my bucket list place to go.
As long as you take me with you. That's all I ask. Because that's on mine too. When you think of some of the things that you've learned about how to be a leader, you brought up Lucy's leadership, and you brought up Megan's leadership in the past at McDonald. Um, Now that you're a leader, you're a junior, you're an upperclassman, you have to be a leader. How do you contribute as a leader on this team?
I think of how I contribute is if I see somebody down, I go over and I pick them up. I'm like, hey, don't even worry about it. We're going to score a run next inning. Don't even worry about the error, or don't even worry about the last play because we're going to make an even better play this time. So I think just trying to like pick everybody up and like trying to get them like back into themselves. Because obviously errors can make you go a little crazy because you're like, I made that play 1,000 times at practice. Why am I not doing it now? Because mistakes happen and we all know that, but it's hard whenever we're in games. So just trying to like, bring them back down from like being crazy about it.
Earlier you talked about mental toughness, and one of the things about mental strength that you have to have as a player when you're putting so much time into softball is that time away from the game. You have to be able to not get yourself gassed out from it. Obviously, you play a lot of softball, not just with high school, but with travel. In those times when you need the break or you need to get away from the game, what kind of things do you do to kind of shut your mind off and take that mental break from yourself?
I like to hang out with my friends and I like to go to the gym with my uncle in the morning. That really helps just get it all out and hang out with people that don't usually play softball or don't like play that type of game like baseball or anything like that. And just talking to them helps get me away from like being crazy about softball.
What's the best hangout when, like you said, you hang out with your friends? Where's the go-to spot?
Well, probably, I think it's mostly Quaker Steak in Austintown. That's where we love to go. That's always our hangout spot.
What about like the team's hangout spot after the game? Big win. You guys got to go celebrate. Where are you going?
B-Dubs in Austintown, man. We love Austintown. They got a lot of good stuff.
When you think about things that you like to do as far as a ritual, any superstitions that you have on the field, what kind of things come to mind?
If I'm not pitching, if I'm playing first, me and my third baseman, Kayla Hucko, she's a great third baseman. We do a little handshake before each inning whenever Bella's warming up. If I'm batting, I'll draw a cross in the dirt and I'll like roll my shoulders back and I'll just get ready to go into the box.
What is your favorite subject in school right now? Obviously, you're a junior. You got one more year left to go. A lot of people say junior year might be one of the hardest years in school. What's some of your favorite things about school and the subjects that you get to learn about?
Right now, I'm in a World War II class, which is really interesting. It's really nice to learn about because obviously we don't obviously hit that curriculum every single class. So that's probably my favorite class right now. I have an amazing teacher, Mr. Bundy. He's an amazing guy, and it's just really interesting.
You might be the first player I've interviewed that chose history. Like everyone thinks history, oh yeah, I got to memorize a bunch of dates and stuff. I'm not for that. You get to choose history. Are you someone that likes learning about things that happened in the past and likes to learn about things that the ways life used to be and things like that?
Yeah, I love learning about history. My brother's going to school to be a history teacher. My family loves history. Most of our vacations will visit at least one historical place. So history's just been in my family for a really long time. So that's probably why it's my favorite.
Well, what is one historical place that you haven't been to that you want to go to?
Well, probably someplace in New York, like the 9/11 memorials. I haven't been to New York, so that's probably on my bucket list.
What about vacation spots that are on your bucket list? What are some places that you guys haven't been yet that you would love to go and vacay at?
I'd love to go to Hawaii. I've never been there before. Some of my friends have been there, and it just looks so beautiful. And I would just love to go there. It's probably my favorite place that I'd want to go.
What is your favorite vacation spot that you've been to?
My favorite vacation spot is probably Myrtle Beach. We have some family down there, so it's going down there and visiting family, and also getting to be by the beach whenever we live in Ohio is really nice.
You're not kidding. That tropical weather can hit really nice, especially when we're supposed to get back to cold weather this week. Ugh, not looking forward to it. Before I let you go, one of the things I want to talk about is the potential of this team. Obviously, you're 9-1 in the season, just after the first loss. You're going to bounce right back from it, get back into league play. Where do you see this team going? Like, what are some of the things that you think this team can really achieve by the end of the season?
I think that we can make it as far as we did last year. I think we still have amazing athletes. We have a great lineup. We have Miley Titus and Kayla Helko, two of our fastest players. Miley's in the outfield, Kayla's at third. So we have some great players. And then G's our third batter, and she plays shortstop for us. So we have a really great defense and a really great offense. So I think that we can make it pretty far just with the amount of athletes that we have on our team. So I think that probably districts and maybe even a little bit more.
All right, Bree, we're hoping for a deep run from McDonald as well. We wish you the best of luck going forward. We love talking to you. We thank you for your time, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you for having me.